First, though, very, very sad news. On Saturday, actress Sandra Bullock announced the heartbreaking news that her long-term partner, Bryan Randall, had passed away following a private battle with ALS, which is a rare neurological disease. And in an interview, she described him as the love of her life, despite meeting him after the end of her marriage, and they didn't ever get married, but she said, you know, they were so committed to each other. Terribly, terribly sad. And it got us talking this morning about, do you believe in the one? Is there, you know, a soulmate? Do you believe, Brenda, that there is one person out there for you who is your one true love, your soulmate?
I like to think there is. You know, I'm that soppy fairy tale, believe in the happy ever after. Well, that's what I want. And the last week, I've literally been watching Enchanted every time I come home from the show. Which is a Disney cartoon where, you know, she's a cartoon princess and she finds her prince, her one true love, and then she gets sent to Earth accidentally, and then she finds somebody else. She falls for somebody else, which I know that is possible, but I think, you know, you kind of know when that person is that person because it's just relaxed. It's not effortless. There's no effort to talk to them. I like to think that you can start as friends first and then you find the relationship grows because, as I've said, once the physical attraction is gone, well, I'm going to need something else to make me laugh.
I like the notion of it. I like the romantic novel of it, of the one true love of your life. And actually, Eamon and I have been together, excuse me, like 26 years. So, you know, but what I meant is I think that if Eamon hadn't found me or I hadn't found him, we probably would have found other people and been in love and had relationships. Because I think, you know, in relationships, you start off going, this is the love of my life. How many people do we know started off, this is the love of my life, and then they end up divorced?
Especially your first love.
Your first love, you know. We'll all look back on our first loves and go, you still love... You know, it was love. You probably didn't end up with them. Not many people ended up with their true love from school or your first love. So I think it's a lovely notion, but I think there are other people in the world that you would meet...
Well, I think it would be
still
sad...
have a love, an amazing love.
I think it would be sad not to think that because, for instance, in Sandra Bullock's case, you know, when you lose somebody who, yes, you loved so deeply, it makes me sad to think that she wouldn't be able to find love again. It might be completely different love, but it would still be love. And I think as you get older and you go through life, you know, your idea of love changes. I'm like you, I'm very romantic and I love being in love. But you know, when I met Shane, who I'm married, we were 21. It's such a different feeling when you're 21. And then, you know, I just think it's different. I think it's sad. I love, you know, my sister who lost her husband, she's never met anyone. But I think the last 15, 18 years or something since he's been gone, I'm desperate for her to. Because I think you've...
Do you think she's closed herself off?
You've just such a lot of love to give.
You know, if you've had that real love in your life, do you think you're closed off thinking, I'll never find someone like that?
I think there's an element of that, and I think there's an element of guilt, because in your head you're thinking, people are going to think I didn't love him, though, or I didn't love her. And I think the people that have passed, you know, I remember when Bernie was passing, she really wanted her husband to meet someone else, you know, and luckily he did, a gorgeous woman, and he's been really happy with her, and I was thrilled for that, because I think if you've got a lot of love to give and circumstances change that, it's sad to end up...
But you fell in love with your husband before you'd even met him.
Well, I know. I saw him on the TV. I was quite lucky because he was playing a football coach who was also a fireman who drove a motorbike, and he was always in leathers. So, I mean, it was like three amazing things. And so we fell... I mean, I fell in love with him. Well, I don't know. I didn't fall in love with him. I basically really fancied him. It was lust. It was lust. And then I remember we talked for about 2 hours before we finally met and went on a date. And as we were talking, he was telling me about the shed which was in his garden that he was going to keep his music equipment in. And I thought, no, we won't do that. I'll knock it down so I've got more room now for the dog. And we'd not even been on a date. And I don't know, we just had this feeling. And I think with James, he is the love of my life. And God forbid if anything ever happened to either of us, I think that you can go on and you will meet other people, but it would never be... He would be the love of my life. It would never be the same. It would never be, you know, you can go on and meet other people. But I don't know, for me, he he is the love of my life, especially if he does still wear the leathers.
What about you and Eamon?
Well, yes, you know, I definitely would say Eamon is the love of my life, definitely. And, you know, and we've been together a long time. I liked Eamon before I ever met him. I used to watch Eamon on what we called the dirty feed.
Ooh.
You know, when I was working at ITV, I worked, before I was on the telly, and I worked in the control room.
Dining?
And it had all, you know, when you see those control rooms, it's got all the TV monitors. And my job, I was supposed to be monitoring ITV, but we had a monitor which called the dirty feed of the BBC, just keep an eye on what they were doing.
Oh.
And he was doing a programme called Open Air. He was gorgeous. Oh. And I used to put my headphones on, pretending to monitor ITV, but actually be looking at this dark-haired Irishman going, he's very nice, who's that? Yeah. And here I am, married to him. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. But, you know, I still think we were very lucky then to meet and fall in love, and we're still together. But I think if we hadn't found each other, we probably, hopefully, would have found somebody.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I hate that, you know, when you say when someone's passed away, it's so tragic. But you want people to have happiness in their lives,
Yes.
don't you? And I
Yes.
hate that attitude when people go like, well, that was quick. They're with someone that was quick. I go, what do you want them to be miserable?
And also,
for
everything
their
you
lives?
go through in your life, I've been through a lot in my life with relationships, and maybe I needed to do that to meet who I'm with now.
And to be where you are now. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we all...